voting on, the public voting on the issue for the amendment to the budget. That's it.
Good evening. Nick Zampetti, 179 Lodge Avenue. Could you bring us from the budget that was introduced or reviewed, whatever the word is appropriate, a month ago, I believe it is, till today, so that we can fully understand issues?
In March, we introduced the budget. I think five in the affirmative, one person wasn't here. We then sent that budget to Trenton. Trenton had asked a bunch of questions about it, which we then answered. And then we went to adopt that budget, I would guess, in early June, 3 weeks ago. And there was not enough votes in the affirmative to pass the budget. So we then went to a bunch of temporary budgets to increase the operating budget of the borough. We were noticed by Trenton, John Cristofano, that the amendment met the requirements requiring approval from the DCA. We then hold the public hearing on the amendment, which requires 4 votes of the council to pass. Then we go theoretically to a vote on the budget as amended, which again, 4 votes of the governing body would be required to pass it. That failing, certain operating departments of the borough will be shut, including public safety, effective Friday. That's where we stand.
Thank you. I was most particularly wanting to understand what the monetary shifts were.
Oh, I'm sorry. In terms of
that's-
taxes, it was $151 going in. This adds $13 to it, making $164 more or less on the local side.
And so that's a tax point?
Tax points, that would be about 6 tax points, or on the average house somewhere in the city, $160,000. Tax point now with the revaluation and the appeals is about $83,000.
The review by Trent.
Yeah. Was this about, we're talking about the specific, in all due respect, I should be answering about just the amendment, but.
Sir, I'm sorry?
You're talking about the review of the
I'm
amendment.
focused at the moment really on the amendments.
Okay, because I don't think
But you always can educate us more.
Well, there'll be enough time to hear what I gotta say, I can assure you.
Okay. So it went down to Trent, they approved the temporary adjustments that.
No, they don't look at the temporary budget, they look at the introduced budget.
Okay.
And then if you want to amend the budget, if you amend a budget, you have to, that moves the line by 10%, you have to have another public hearing, that's why we're here.
We're here. All right. I'll hear more. Thank you.
Seeing no one else? I have motion to close the public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Councilor Jackson?
Yes.
Brophy?
Yes.
Nunes?
No.
Heinsberg?
Yes.
Burgess?
No.
Okay, well, this is passed, so we can't hold I don't believe we have a budget. I prepared a temporary extension of the temporary budget for the council to review based on that. If this doesn't pass, as far as the full DCA, I do not believe we have enough money in the budget to operate either the police or keep the borough open starting tomorrow. Well, July is Friday, I think. Well, then I was wrong. You gotta do this now. Don't do it. See what happens, Councilman.
Where is Councilwoman Masada? The last time we had a budget vote, she went here.
Somebody needs to move the resolution so we have a vote.
Would someone introduce it?
I make a motion to introduce it.
Well, first, under the circumstances, I guess you would have
And then-
a motion to add it to the agenda.
All right.
first and then vote on it substantively.
I make a motion to add to the
Do I have
agenda.
a second?
Second.
Call the roll. Please just do anything the agenda.
Councilors Brody,
Yes.
Koenigsberg,
Yes.
Burgess,
What are you voting on, I'm sorry?
Anything the agenda.
Yes.
Nunes,
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
This will not get us through much of July, but that's where we have problems right now. Now, that gives us about 1.5 payrolls to the police, so we're talking about paying July 6th,
Document.
then we got to start this process over again.
Do I have a motion?
Second. Second.
Can I ask why we are holding up the budget? We have had this budget now since March. And is there a reason that we're holding this up? Because in the last 2 weeks, I haven't heard anything from either one of you guys, except the words no. You have a problem with the budget, maybe you should tell the public that, after July, that we're gonna shut down the services of this town. I mean, this is a pretty serious matter.
We're gonna shut down the service, so
Oh, we're not?
we draft that from that.
Oh, so we're not gonna, so we just create money and then that's how we keep paying these people?
I guarantee you that the services will not be shut down.
And how do you guarantee that if we don't pass the budget?
Maybe
You know something that we don't?
maybe you should look into how the process works, and maybe you should educate yourself.
Well, George, I haven't heard anything from you on what's wrong with the budget. So you just gonna sit here and just shake your head and say, educate yourself? Why don't you educate us what's wrong with this budget? Because you and we have had this budget for quite some time now.
Right, and my objections have been clear from the very beginning. This is the 5th year that a budget that we vote to adopt results in a tax increase.
Okay, so what have you?
We have not done anything in this budget
Okay.
to cut anything.
Okay, and as you have not done anything. So what do you recommend that we cut from this budget? 'Cause I'd like to hear it.
I believe that our administrator and financial officer, he's the one that oversees.
Let me point for the record that the minimum responsibility of elected officials is to introduce and adopt the budget. Elected official,
Okay,
okay? You, not me.
okay.
So, where have you been? And I'm not looking for Joe DiMaggio now.
So you're telling me that we
I'm
have
saying it's your
absolutely
job to
no
do it.
area that we can cut?
Now,
There's
George,
nothing that we
for
can cut.
God's sakes, it's halfway through the year. If you want to cut $200,000 out of the
Listen,
budget, you got to find $200,000.
relax with the
I am
drama.
relaxed.
Relax with the drama.
Drama?
Yeah, relax
You
with
ever
the
found the
drama.
soapbox you didn't find, you didn't like yet?
Relax
We're
with the
talking about
drama. Relax
please.
with the drama. Let's have a serious conversation
You
about
can't
it.
have a serious conversation if you can't have two people that trust each other.
Well,
Well, I don't hear any conversation.
I would like to
hear
know what
anything.
to
Tell me what to cut. Tell me what you want to
Give
cut.
us
out of this budget.
the cut.
Property maintenance.
Oh, well, stop it. Stop. The property maintenance budget for $12,000, $6,000 to spend, you can save all the $6,000, it's not gonna move the needle anywhere. And then make a motion, I mean, easy, make a motion to fire the property maintenance inspector.
Generating
Done with it.
positive impact,
as of when?
according to the information that was given to me.
Yes, the report that we received said to us that we had generated X amount of money, that we had expended X amount of money, and that we had generated X amount of money. The original report that we received took into account 2.5 years worth of numbers. Now, I was the only one that asked to have those numbers broken down, because whatever the property maintenance department did in 2010 does nothing for us today or moving forward.
And what is-
Whatever it did last year does nothing for us today or moving forward. And then, when we opened up the box, okay, so yeah, the property maintenance department made money in 2010, made money in 2011, and this year, it's underwater by $500.
Wait a minute, so you're gonna hold the budget hostage to that?
Mr. Councilman, can I tell you there are 70 such summonses before the court, but that's in the rest of that number?
even taking into account, it's such a minimal amount. Where are the suggestions to assist him in areas where we should cut? You can't hold the budget hostage by just saying no. Where are the
Well-
suggestions to him?
Well, let me ask you a question. When the when the budget was set back to Trenton, why did we make those changes? Why did we make the changes to the money related to the capital expense line item?
I thought it was a request from you, if I remember.
Okay, so I'm requesting that we cut something, but yet that doesn't seem to have any validity. But when I put forth the whole idea about the capital, why did in fact we change that? Why did we change that?
I wasn't the decider on changing it, but if I was making that decision, I would assume it was to get the budget passed, George.
Well, the reason for it was because you can't say that you're going to spend X amount of money in capital, on your capital budget, and not have enough money for the down payment.
And there are ways to handle that, you know it and I know it. It's not right in stone. If you have voted for a capital improvement into the next year, to raise it the next year, you could have passed it, waited to the end of the year, you could have found transfers and canceled the emergency. It's being held, in my opinion, for purely political reasons.
Len,
Nothing to do
okay.
with government at this point.
Okay, but let me ask you a question.
Okay.
How much money is in this budget this year?
$8.4 million.
Okay, but hold on a second. How much of that $8.4 million goes to pay for stuff that we already did last year?
There was an emergency passed last year for $175,000, partly related to the